Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Hello everyone. So now students, let's start our next topic here, that is, why do we need a parliament? Now before the students, you already have learnt about the term that is parliament. So if I ask you this question, that when we are talking about parliament, what do we understand by this term? Can you easily answer this question? Yes, definitely you can answer this question, right? So before this we learnt about parliament. And parliament, when we are saying the term, it means that it is a legislative body. Now here, when we are referring to the term legislative, already you have learned the term legislature, legislative, making laws. So you can easily connect all these terms, students? Yes. So when we are talking about parliament, here we say that this is a national assembly of elected representatives, or in simple terms, a legislative body in which the elected representatives, they make laws. They have the main responsibility of making laws, changing the laws, abolishing some old laws, amending the laws, or bringing some new changes to the existing laws. There are so many things that the members, the elected representatives in a parliament can do, right? We have also understood the importance of parliament. So here in this topic, we are going to talk about why do we need a parliament. So in all democracies, now remember, we are talking about democratic kind of government. We are not talking about autocratic kind of government. We are not talking about military dictatorship, okay? So here when we are talking about democratic kind of government of democracies, the modern democracies that we have today in our world, we see that there is an assembly of elected representatives that exercise supreme political authority on the behalf of common people. Now why are we saying on the behalf of common people? Because it is the common people who through the elections they elect their representatives. Correct or not, students? We have talked about this in elections also, right? Your previous chapter, and here also you have learned about this term. Now this is not hard to understand. Now here when we are talking about our country especially, we call it as parliament, okay? And we have two houses. Now in different countries where we will find democracy and where you will find parliamentary system, it means that they have a parliament. Now in different countries, the name of this parliament can differ. This national assembly, it can differ. So in some countries, it can be referred to as Diet. The national assembly there, it is referred to as Diet. You can find out what is the name of the parliaments that exist in different countries when we are talking about the democratic form of government there. Okay? Apart from this, when we are referring to the state level, now again this is an important point. So when we are referring to the state level, we refer it as legislative assembly. Okay? So here when we are talking about different states that we have in our country, so the parliament there, the national assembly, the state assembly there, not national assembly, the state assembly there is referred as legislative assembly. Okay? So here let's not get confused with the terms. Now the main point here is that why do we need a parliament? So majorly there are 4 points in this book that we are going to discuss, and we'll understand all these important points. Now the first point here is that parliament is the final authority for making laws in any country. Now we are talking in a very generic term here. So when we are referring to the parliament, we all know that the elected representatives, they have the responsibility of making laws. So therefore, in very simple terms, we can say that parliament is the final authority. The term final authority here is really important. Okay? So it is the final authority for making laws in any country. Now parliament all over the world can make new laws, change the existing laws, or abolish them. Now like I told you, not just making new laws. So we were comparing it with any game. In previous topics, I have given you the example to easily understand this point. Now what was that point? Do you remember that? In previous topics, I told you that you can take any game that you love playing. Let it be cricket, volleyball, basketball or any other game. Kho-kho, kabaddi, indoor or outdoor game. Any game. Okay. Now in all the games that we play, we have one thing in common. What? The rules? Yes, students. Now all these rules, it is only through the rules that we enjoy playing that game. We announce a winner according to the rules. If we are following the rules in that game, then only we can get a winner. If there are no rules, how can you decide a winner in that game? You can't do that. Or if there are no rules, will you enjoy playing that game? Obviously not, right? So here also, when we are referring to any country, when we are talking about the government that exists in a country, it has the responsibility of making new laws. So Parliament is the final authority for making these laws and also changing the existing laws. The laws that exist in our country, it can also be changed. It can also be amended. The term amended here is really important. About this, we are going to learn later. So let's not discuss here in detail. Just understand that the Parliament, the elected representatives, they can also change the existing laws. They can also abolish these laws. Okay. So this is the first point. Now what is the second point here? When we are talking about the second point, we know that parliaments all over the world, they exercise some control over those who run the government. Am I correct here, students? Are you able to understand this point? Yes. So when we are talking about the parliaments again in generic term, we say that all over the world, all the parliaments, they exercise some control over those who run the government. Now, when we are talking about over those who run the government, it means that we are referring to the people who are in majority, to the party that is in majority, and that is the ruling party. So, definitely, we saw that the legislature, they also have a hold of the executive. Yes, students. Now, you will understand this point again. Why? Because till they are enjoying the confidence of the Lok Sabha, when we are talking about the ruling party. Okay, so let's say BJP is the current ruling party in our country. Now, till they're enjoying their vote of confidence in the Lok Sabha, in the House of People, till then only we can say that they can make the laws, they can change the laws, they are in power. Now, if there is a chance or if there is a situation when the opposition parties, they fight a vote or they give a vote of no confidence for the ruling party, then what will happen? There would be a different scenario. The people, the ruling party would have to show their majority. Okay, students? Now, these are some of the terms that you are going to understand in your senior classes as well. But here, just understand that they exercise the parliament, which consists of the ruling party, the opposition parties who have been elected from different constituencies. Okay, students? So, all these people, these elected representatives, they are there in the Lok Sabha. When we are talking about our country, okay? I'll give you an example of our country so that you can understand this point very easily. So, they are exercising some control over them. They are seeing that the ruling party is not doing any kind of corrupt activities or practices, and they are making the laws that is good for the people. They will always question the government on the laws that are being made or on the schemes that are being launched by the government. So here, this is how the government, they keep in check. The government is being kept in check by the opposition parties. Okay. The third point here is that parliaments, they control all the money that government has. Now, in most countries, the public money can be spent only when the parliament sanctions it. Now, again, very important point here. See, here in general term, we are talking about the parliaments and what happens everywhere, wherever we have democratic kind of government. So the third important function here, or the role of parliament, which you will learn later on as well. So here you have to understand that they control all the money that government has. Now, you might be thinking that what kind of money are we talking about here? What kind of money are we referring to? So here the money that we are talking about is the taxes being collected by the by the government from the common people. Okay, students? So the government has the money, the taxes that they collect, right? And these funds or the taxes that we can say, these taxes, they are being spent on in different areas, on various schemes also. Apart from that, all the privileges, all the luxuries that we enjoy today offered by the government in various senses. So here you have to see that the parliament is controlling all this money. So in most countries, the public money, the amount that has to be spent for public affairs, okay, for the welfare of the common people in various schemes. It can be for various schemes, right? It can be related to any sector, whether it's education, whether it's health, whether it's about sanitization, whether it's about cleanliness, or so many sectors are there, right? Whether it's mining, industrial, and so, okay? So it can be limitless. The list can be limitless here. So when we are talking about the public money spent on the welfare of the common people, of the common public, so it can only be spent when the parliament sanctions. It means that when the government gets the approval from the parliament, from the parties that sit there and they are voting in the favor or sanction with it. Okay, so they are giving the approval for it. So this is how the parliament, it controls all the money that the government has. So this is the next point that you have to understand. Now the last point here is that parliament is the highest forum of discussion and debate on public issues and national policy in our country. Yes, students. Now when we are talking about parliament, we all know that it consists of the elected representatives. Now these elected representatives, they have several responsibilities. It is much more than a legislative body. Now this is a point that we understood in our last topic. Yes or not? Yes. So when we are talking about parliament, we know that the elected representatives, be it from the ruling party, be it from the opposition parties, they sit there in the parliament in different sessions, and the main idea is to discuss, is to debate on public issues. Now when I'm talking about public issues, now I would like you to follow or do one thing. Since you are reading this chapter, you can always watch news channels with your parents. Now this is a good practice that you can follow every day. So students, public issues are being discussed on these news channels, these news platforms, correct or not? So definitely here you will find that whenever there is the session in a parliament, okay, when we are talking about the Lok Sabha session, or it can be about the Raj Sabha session, so the ministers here, what they do? They discuss on various issues. These issues can be concerned to the public, general public. It can be concerned to the to corruption. It can be concerned to education, health, terrorism. If we are talking about the national issues, if we are talking about the national policies, it can be related to any government schemes, you know, if it is helping the people or not. The opposition parties, they can question the ruling party. This is how they can keep a check on the working of the government. Correct or not, students? So this is the best way in which we can understand that there is a healthy democracy. When the opposition parties, they can question the ruling government, they do not want to create a situation where the ruling party, it becomes more autocratic, right? They are doing whatever they want and they are not doing in favor of the common people. So opposition parties, they exist to keep in check the working of the ruling party here. So it is the highest forum of discussion and debates where both the parties, the ruling and the opposition parties, they participate in these debates on various issues, and therefore decisions are made after that. So now you understand why do we need a parliament. Do you think that a democratic government or a democratic country can exist without a parliament after reading all these points here? Definitely not. Now you understand the importance of parliament. Now you also understand these features that you have read previously related to the democratic form of government. Okay. So here students, all these points are important that we need to understand in order to understand the importance of parliament. So we have read about the 4 points here. In our next topic, we will talk about the role of parliament. Thank you very much.